You know when you go out to dinner and order the fish, do you ever really stop and think about what you're getting? It's a simple question, right? But the answer, well, it might just shock you. Okay, let's dive into this kind of hidden world of counterfeit fish, where a simple dinner could be part of a massive global deception. So the real question we're asking today is the fish on your plate what you think it is?
So why does this even happen? Well, like a lot of things, you just got to follow the money. And the money here is huge. Take a look at this number. That's $3.1 million for a single bluefin tuna. That's what it sold for at a Tokyo auction. So when one fish can be worth that much, it creates a pretty massive incentive for a whole illegal enterprise of fakes.
And look, this isn't just a problem for super high-end sushi. Not at all. One big analysis found that nearly 40% of all the seafood samples they tested were mislabeled. 40%. Think about that. It means there's a pretty good chance the fish you bought last week wasn't what you paid for. This is not just a few bad apples. This is a systemic, worldwide problem.
All right, so to get to the bottom of all this, we're going to open up the case files on some of the most common imposters out there. Think of yourself as a detective, and I'm about to give you all the clues you need to spot the fakes. First up, a very, very popular fish.
Welcome to the salmon swindle. On one side, you've got this beautiful, sought-after, and pricey wild-caught salmon. On the other, you have much, much cheaper farmed salmon. The crime here is simple. They sell you the farm stuff but charge you the wild-caught price, which can easily be more than double. The really interesting thing here is the visual difference. Farm salmon is often a lighter, paler pink, with way more of that white, fatty marbling, because, well, it hasn't exactly been swimming upriver its whole life.
So here are your detective clues. For the real deal, you want to look for a deep, vibrant red color. Real wild salmon has less of that fatty marbling, and the fillets themselves are often thinner and leaner. I mean, these fish have been fighting currents their whole lives, right? So the big takeaway, if you see a pale, thick, fatty-looking fillet that's labeled wild, that should set off some alarm bells.
Let's move on to our next case, the snapper switch. And this one is just wow. Red snapper is one of the most frequently faked fish on the market. An Oceana report found that out of 120 samples of fish sold as red snapper, all but 7 of them were something else. The usual suspect is tilapia, a farmed fish that costs a fraction of the price and doesn't have the same healthy omega-3s.
So how do you confirm your catch? Well, your best bet is to buy the fish whole. It's kind of hard to fake an entire fish body, right? But if you're buying fillets, always ask for them with the skin on so you can see that signature red color. Another clue is the texture. Real red snapper is soft and delicate. Tilapia is much, much firmer.
And hey, this isn't just about us regular folks getting ripped off. Inside the culinary world, passing off fake fish is a cardinal sin. As Chef Preston Clark puts it, you never, ever want to serve anything fraudulent because it just ruins your credibility. He even joked, "Give him the guillotine," which tells you everything you need to know about how seriously chefs take this.
All right, you thought that was bad? Get ready for what might be the most brazen fraud of them all, the scallop scam. Because here, criminals aren't just substituting one fish for another. Sometimes it's not even a scallop to begin with. Yeah, they've been caught taking cheap whitefish like skate and literally punching it into perfect coin shapes to pass them off as scallops.
But here's the cool part. There's one little thing they just can't fake, and this is your golden clue. You see that small, tough bit on the side of a real scallop? That's the abductor muscle. It's where the scallop was literally attached to its shell. A fake scallop that's been punched out of a fish fillet won't have it. Also, be suspicious of perfectly round, uniform circles. Real scallops have natural flaws.
So we've seen the small-time scams you might run into at the grocery store, but now let's zoom out, way out. Who are the masterminds behind this global operation? Because this goes far deeper than just a single shady supplier.
The engine driving this whole underworld is something called IUU fishing. That stands for illegal, unreported, or unregulated. Basically, this is a massive global black market, and it's estimated to be responsible for 1 out of every 5 fish caught around the world. They operate with no licenses, they use illegal gear, and they completely ignore fishing quotas.
And where do they get away with all this? They do it in the remote waters of the high seas. This region makes up almost 2/3 of our entire planet's oceans, and because there's no single government in charge out there, it's basically the Wild West. It is the perfect place to hide criminal activity.
And you know, this isn't just about being cheated out of a few dollars for a piece of fish. The true cost of this fraud is staggering, and it impacts our planet and people in some truly devastating ways. This number is just heartbreaking. 20 million. That's the estimated number of protected or endangered animals, we're talking sea turtles, sharks, dolphins, that are caught as bycatch by these illegal operations every single year. They're hauled up in the nets, and most are just thrown back into the ocean, dead or dying.
And then there's the human cost. Investigators have found just horrific conditions on these IUU vessels. We're talking about forced labor, human trafficking, fishermen forced into 20-hour workdays with their passports taken away. It's modern-day slavery. In one case, a crew member found in 2021 had been at sea for so long he didn't even know the COVID-19 pandemic had happened. Just let that sink in.
Okay, I know this problem feels huge, but here's the thing. You can be part of the solution. It all starts with being a more conscious consumer, and we can all learn to become seafood detectives.
Here it is, your official detective toolkit. It's a simple 4-step check. First, ask questions. A reputable seller should be able to tell you where the fish is from. Second, as we've learned, buy the whole fish whenever you can. Third, know the seasons for your local fish. If you see something for sale that's wildly out of season, be skeptical. And finally, number 4, check the price. You know the old saying, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. You are not getting bluefin tuna for $8 a pound. No way.
So, the key takeaway here is that knowledge is power. The seafood industry's dark secrets thrive when we're just not paying attention. But now you have the tools to look closer, to ask the right questions, and to demand honesty. The only question left is, will you?